The following program is brought to you by Naleo TV, the people's platform.
Welcome back to another episode of Mind, Body Kona. I'm Sarah Bergeron, your host, and today I'll be leading you through another dynamic flow. We're going to be working on some light strength training, opening our hips, and also regulating our nervous system. So let's go ahead and just get into it. So to get started, we're going to find our way down to a comfortable seat. And if you have a yoga mat, go ahead and lay that out. If not, the carpet is totally fine to do this practice on. So we're going to start with regulating our nervous system here, taking a couple of breaths before we start moving our body. So coming into our seat, making sure our sit bones are rooted into the floor here. Rolling the shoulder blades down the back, really opening up our chest, our heart space here to be able to bring a little bit more oxygen in. Maybe you close your eyes here. Maybe you bring yourself into a soft gaze. And we're going to start off with some box breathing. So we're going to go ahead, inhaling through the nose for 4 seconds here. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Start that inhale once more through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Taking about 3 more rounds of this, breathing in and out of the nose the entire time. Activating our Ujjayi breath here. So on the exhale, try to restrict the back of the throat. Maybe you hear an oceanic sound, almost like an ocean wave coming in and out. What this is going to do is it's going to bring our body into that parasympathetic state. Continuing with this breath a little bit longer. Feeling that shift in our nervous system here. And slowly starting that exhale. We're going to continue with this breath throughout our practice today. So anytime we catch ourselves breathing in and out of our mouth, just go ahead and switch that back to breathing in and out of the nose. This is going to take our body out of that fight or flight state and then put us into that rest and reset state. So after we start our breathing, we're going to go ahead, rolling onto our hands and knees, continuing with that breath in and out of the nose, spreading fingertips nice and wide, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. We're going to start with some cat-cow. So dropping the belly, gazing up towards the sky. And then on the exhale, we're going to round the spine, gazing towards the belly button. So just taking a few rounds of this, maybe on your own breath. Really just feeling the body opening up, getting the kinks out. Breathing as we move. Inhales and exhales through the nose. Taking one more round. Big exhale. And then slowly, we're gonna go ahead, extending the left leg to come long behind us, and then bringing the right arm to lift here. We're gonna pause here for just a couple of breaths. We're engaging our core here, so hugging your belly button into your spine, gazes towards the floor, really testing our balance here. Taking just one more inhale through the nose, and then exhale. We're going to tap the elbow into the knee. So we're going to reach, opening and closing the body here. Just getting the core warmed up. We'll take about 4 of these on each side. And then slowly bringing that hand and knee to come back down. We're going to just roll out the wrist slightly before going on to the other side. Always listen to your body throughout your practice. If something feels tight or stiff, always take the time to pause. Coming back in here, big inhale through the nose, big exhale, lifting that opposite leg here. So we're flexing through that back foot. So the energy is shooting out of our heel. It will help with the balance here to keep that foot engaged. And then lifting that opposite arm once again, pausing here. Belly button hugs into the spine, gazes towards the floor. We're testing our balance. Taking 2 more breaths right here. Big inhales and exhales here. And then on that exhale, bringing that elbow into that knee once again. So nice and slow coming through these rounds. We're testing our balance here. Taking 4 of these on this side. And slowly bringing that hand and that foot to come back down to the mat here. Once again, taking a moment, rolling out the wrists. So we're going to continue working a little bit into the core here for the beginning of our practice. So we're going to cross our ankles, pull our legs to come through here. We're going to come into Navasana boat pose. So once again, roll those shoulder blades down the back. Chest is nice and lifted here, proud collarbones. So there's a few options that you could take with this posture. If you're really still working on your core and getting your balance, I suggest keeping the toes on the floor. Otherwise, we can lift them off the floor as well. You can have the legs straight or you can have the legs bent. So once again, chest stays tall. Maybe we lift our hands, testing balance once again, engaging that core. So belly button stays hugged into the spine the entire time we're in this position. Maybe we slightly open, coming low boat, high boat. Once again, we're working that core, stabilizing the body. Big inhales and exhales. 2 more. Last round. Once again, let's bring the feet to the floor. And then we're going to bring the hands to come together. We're going to twist the body side to side. So maybe we're flexible enough to tap the elbow to the floor. Otherwise, if we're just beginning, just taking this side to side is totally okay too. Again, breathing in and out of the nose the entire time during our practice, regulating our nervous system. A few more rounds. Two more. And then slowly coming back up. Let's go ahead, coming back into that tabletop position. We're gonna go ahead, start to open our hips here. So we're gonna come into a downward facing dog. Spread the fingertips nice and wide at the top of the mat. You really wanna give yourself a lot of space coming into this down dog. So curl the toes under, lifting the hips to come up. So we wanna melt the heart to come towards the floor. Maybe the knees are bent, maybe the knees are straight. Just allowing that tailbone to come towards the sky, creating a line between our crown of our head and our tailbone here. So heart melts to the floor. And then we're gonna go ahead, lifting our right leg towards the sky. And then we're gonna go ahead and bring that leg to come through, planting the foot in between the hands. And we're gonna go ahead and drop back down onto our back knee here. So we're gonna come into a low crescent lunge. So if your toes are underneath your knee here, when you lean forward, the toes are behind. You wanna make sure to scoot that foot out to give yourself a little bit more space. So sinking the hips to come forward. So we wanna make sure that our hips stay square. So checking in with the body as we take a little bit, maybe more of a scoot forward to really allow that space. Taking a big inhale, we're gonna reach the arms up towards the sky. Just take a couple of breaths here. With every exhale, we're really allowing the body to open up a little bit deeper. So the breath here is just as important as the posture. So once again, big inhale through the nose, big exhale. Maybe we come a little bit deeper into that lunge. One more breath here. And then slowly, we're gonna bring the hands to the inside of the foot here. We'll heel toe that foot to the outside edge of the mat. So we are in a lizard lunge here. You can stay here if this feels challenging for you today. Otherwise, if it feels a little bit more open, you can start to roll onto the pinky edge of this side of your foot and then slowly maybe coming down onto our forearms. Maybe eventually you cross your wrists and let your forehead rest. So this is supposed to be a resting active posture here. So if you can get down into that restful state, definitely do so. So we'll be here for just a couple of more breaths, maybe taking some slight rocks side to side to help with that opening in the hip. And then coming through a couple of variations within this posture. Once again, if this is challenging, feel free to stay here. Otherwise, if you can, lifting that inside hand, placing it onto the knee, pressing into the knee here as you look up and over that shoulder. Now we're getting not only into the hip, but also into the spine, coming into a slight spine twist. Taking one more breath right here. And on that next inhale, maybe we take it a step farther, lifting that back foot, reaching towards those toes, pausing here. Now we're getting into the front of that quad, not only, and then into the hips as well. So another breath, just easing in here. And slowly starting to release that foot. We're gonna bring the hands to come back towards center. We're gonna curl that back toe under, and then we're just gonna bring this leg to come back through plank. So once we get into our plank, we can slowly lift those hips, coming back towards that downward facing dog. Pedaling out the feet, maybe shaking out the head. Once again, really melting that heart to come towards the floor. And then lifting that opposite leg and starting to pull through. So once again, coming down onto that knee, coming into that other side. So let's go ahead and set it up. Once again, make sure that that toe is going to be in front of our knee. So sliding that foot slightly forward as you square off the hips and then slowly start to sink it in. Big breaths here. So we will feel tension. We hold a lot of tension in our hips. So this is a great opportunity to release that with our breath. So every time we're feeling that in our body, taking big inhales and big exhales, moving that through the body. So taking a few more of those as you sink maybe a little bit deeper. Maybe gaze is lifted, collarbones are proud, pinkies facing each other. One more round of breath here, really sinking it in. And then on that exhale, once again, let's bring those hands to come down. So heel toe that foot to the outside edge of that mat. You can stay here if this feels challenging, or let's take it a step further, rolling onto that outside pinky edge, maybe coming down to forearms, maybe crossing at the wrists and dropping the forehead down. Just taking some time here to really open it up. A lot of the times we feel that tension and then we tend to back off, but we need to work through that. It's called in yoga moksha. So that is our liberation between that discomfort and then getting through to that other side. So really just stick with it. Try to stay in the posture as long as you can. Sometimes in yin, we're holding postures between 3 and 5 minutes, believe that or not. So our next breath, we're going to lift that inside hand, bringing it to that thigh here as we press into the body. So really pressing that hand into the thigh, helping with that twist, using that body as leverage. Big inhales and exhales here. Slowly, slowly sinking in, maybe a little bit deeper. And on that next breath, we're gonna lift that foot in the back. Maybe we just reach for that foot today, or maybe it's available to grab. Once again, using the body as leverage, coming into that twist. Big inhale and exhale through the nose here. Slowly lowering that foot to come back down. Once again, let's curl that back toe under, lift that knee, coming back through that plank, pressing into that downward facing dog. Pedaling it out once more. So this is going to help solidify that low back connection here in our hamstrings by pedaling out in between these downward facing dogs. So slowly, we're going to come back down onto our knees. We're going to do a little bit more core, coming into our side body here. So we want to make sure we get all the core muscles. There's quite a bit of muscles in our core. So coming to the side, bringing the knees to the floor. So there's a couple options here. If you are feeling super strong today, we can get up into a side plank here. If you need a little bit more support, it's totally okay to have that bottom leg dropped here. So we're going to bring that arm to come down and up. So we're creating a rainbow shape with our rib cage. Every time we press away from the mat, we're working on those side abs. Taking a few more rounds of this, 3 more. And then slowly starting to come down, hugging knees into chest, just resetting our spine, resetting our nervous system before going into that other side. Maybe roll out your wrists. Big inhales and exhales throughout our practice today. So coming to that other side. Once again, if we want to be up onto the full plank, we can do that. Or taking that variation today. Once again, dropping that hip, really reaching up and over the body here. Pressing away from the mat, creating that little rainbow with that bottom part of our rib cage. A few more rounds. 3 more. Beautiful. Slowly starting to come down once again. Let's go ahead, give ourselves one more little hug. Take a big inhale and exhale, maybe slight neck rolls here, slight wrist rolls. And then we're gonna go ahead, coming back towards the hands and the knees. So we're going to go ahead, taking the left leg to come back. We're gonna point the toe, and then we're going to bend the knee. So now we're gonna flex that foot. So heel comes towards the ceiling, and then we're going to just lift that knee slightly. So getting into the back of the hamstrings, the quads, the glutes here. Bringing some strength training into our yoga today. Working our balance, our hips, our core. A few more rounds, just like this. And then slowly, we're gonna straighten that leg, tap the toe, nice and straight. So we're working 2 different parts of our muscles here by keeping the leg bent and then straight. So when we straighten out that leg, we're actually accessing the core as well as that glute. And slowly bringing that leg to come back down. Let's go ahead, just take some slight side-to-side rocks, shake it out, and then coming back into that neutral position. We're gonna do that one more time on the other side. So bringing the leg to come back and then flexing that heel towards the sky. Once again, lifting that foot. So we're basically trying to create a footprint on the ceiling here. So stamping our foot on the ceiling, leading with that heel, squeezing into the glute every time for that lift. Taking a few more of these. And then slowly, once again, let's straighten out that leg, point that toe, take those taps. Breathe. We're almost there, building heat here in the body. 3 more. And slowly, once again, bringing that knee to come back down. We're gonna go ahead, taking the opposite leg, going back to the other side, bringing that leg to come out once more. Let's cross it over the mat here just to stretch out that glute. So we'll land those toes on the floor, taking a slight forward and back rock here. Big inhales and exhales the whole time. We're shaking it out, really helps the body process. And then we're going to bring that knee in, coming to the other side, bring it over. Once again, slight rocks. Just feeling that stretch in that glute. And then we're gonna come, bringing that leg to come all the way over, planting the foot, toes facing the front here. We're gonna lift up onto the knee, coming all the way up. Really feel the side body stretch as you inhale towards the sky. Exhale, coming over towards that extended leg, opening up that side body. And then we're gonna go ahead, planting the palm on the floor, opening it up the opposite way. And then we're going to flex into that foot, tap the elbow to the knee a couple times. Once again, just bringing a little bit of strength with our flexibility today. Taking 3 more. And last one, landing that foot to come back down. We're gonna come right back up here. So just bringing the leg to come in, and then we'll just bring it out to the other side. Once again, inhale, lifts the body here. Exhale, opening it up. One more inhale, rising back up towards the sky. Exhale, opening up to the other side here. Fingertips and toes stretching away from each other on that inhale. And exhale, tapping elbow to knee once again. Let's go ahead, taking a few more of these, 3 more. And then slowly coming back up. We're gonna bring the knee in, and then we're gonna come into some half camels here. So you can either have the feet flat on the floor, or if you need a little bit of extra lift, you can curl the toes under. So we're going to take the right hand, reaching back towards that heel, and the left hand reaches over the corner of the body here. So we're arching our spine, allowing the head to fall back. Big inhale through the nose. And then on the exhale, we're going to sweep around the front of the mat, coming to that other side, opening that hip onto the other side. We're gonna take a few rounds of this, almost like a little dance here, taking it nice and graceful, moving as slow or as quick as it feels good in your body. 1 more on each side. This is really good for our hips and our nervous system. And then coming back towards center. So that's gonna be our half camel. Now we're gonna come into a full camel. So this is really good for stress or anxiety on the body. It helps reset the nervous system. So there's a couple of different variations to this. If we are very inflexible in our upper body, you can really just take the hands to bring them to the lower back. We're going to squeeze into the glutes, and you can press the hips forward and just let the head fall back. And this could be your camel today. You could totally just stay here. Or if you want to take it a step further, you can allow the hands to fall, to come towards your heels, bringing the hands to the heels, opening the front of the body, allowing the head to fall back. Taking small sips of air here while we're in this position. Really pressing the hips and squeezing the glutes to come forward. One more breath right here. And then slowly walking those hands to come back to that lower back. And then slowly sitting down onto those heels. Taking just a few grounding breaths here in and out of the nose. That can be a bit, it stirs up the nervous system. So it resets us. So sometimes you can feel some emotions come up. That's totally normal here. Just taking a moment to breathe through it. In and out of the nose. Really reset the body here. 2 more of those big breaths. Last one, biggest breath you've taken all day. Beautiful. And then slowly we're going to go ahead, sitting back onto our bottoms once more, taking our right foot, sole of the foot to come into that inner thigh. We're going to do some side body stretching. Inhale, reaching towards the sky. Let's go ahead, square the body to come towards this leg, and then start to crawl our way down. So we really want this connection with our tummy and our thigh here. If we can make that happen, otherwise, it's okay. We're just working our way into it, right? So grabbing anything that's available. It could be your shin, your knee, your foot, and then pulling the body to come down. Really trying to create a long spine here. So forehead coming as close as it can to those toes before you allow that head to come down. Big inhales and exhales right here. And then this compression we're creating on this side, we're actually massaging out our digestive organs here. So we're helping our digestive system. We're creating more circulation in the body. And overall, this is a very supportive posture. One more big breath here. And then slowly coming back up. We're going to come into that other side, bringing that opposite leg to come in. Once again, we want to get nice and tall before we come up and over. So reaching as tall as we can, getting 1 more inch in there, turning that body towards the leg, and then exhale, bringing ourselves to come down. And then maybe we even use the leg to square the hips off. Once again, maybe we're grabbing shin, maybe we're grabbing our foot, pulling the spine, creating that nice long spine here, and creating that compression. Big inhale. Big exhale, bringing that forehead maybe to come down. Taking a few more breaths here. Really allowing that length to be created in our spine. And then slowly, once again, we rise back up to seated. So let's go ahead, taking 1 more forward fold, this time bringing both of the legs in front. So inhaling, coming nice and tall. Now that we have a little bit of length in those hamstrings, maybe we get a little bit closer than we did before. So pulling those legs, creating that compression. This is one of the most powerful asanas of all of the yoga's asanas. Big inhale, big exhale. Maybe the forehead comes all the way down. Really feel that stretch here. Use those biceps. Don't be afraid to pull on the body here. And then slowly starting to make our way back up towards seated. We root those sit bones down. We roll the shoulder blades to come down and back. And just take some more big, deep breaths. I thank you for joining us today on another episode of Mind, Body, Kona. I hope you feel nourished and balanced. Mahalo.